Guys, I know I have been fairly absent recently, and I am so sorry. I have been super busy with stuff. I'm actually sitting in my bedroom. It is about 8 o'clock, I think, at night. And it is October the 10th. I found out right before I left work today that our school is actually canceled for tomorrow. So, because of another hurricane that's coming through, I think it's Hurricane Michael. I really haven't been following the news. Anyway, the winds are supposed to get up really high and our buses can't run. So that's the only reason we're canceling school. Really shouldn't be a huge issue, but I'll keep you updated. Anyway, I decided to laminate a whole bunch of stuff and bring stuff home. Here we go. So, one thing I've started is, and one of my teammates made this, and then I had some of my after school kids color them, but they are different patterns, just using different templates. I have like apples, bats, ghosts, leaves, there's some pumpkins. I also have like some football stuff, Thanksgiving stuff. So they're all different like fall themed templates for patterns. It's a math activity. So what they're going to do is each one is going to be a different pattern, and students are going to have like a riddle on the board, and they're going to have to solve the pattern at each station to get a letter. And once they get all their letters, they will be able to solve their riddle. So I need to finish working on that, and I still have several that I need to cut and I guess color and laminate, and I'll just have to laminate those from home. Then I have a lot of these. I don't want them to fall apart because it's a lot. All of my tons of laminate. They're all of the rest of my science, social studies, and math I can statements. So I've laminated them. I'm going to cut them, punch them out, organize them in my binder by sequence that I will use them in. So that's just prepared for the rest of the year. Lastly, and I don't even see it right now. I think it may be in my car. No, it's in my computer, which is in my kitchen, and I'm in my bedroom. Anyway, I have some data because we are going to be splitting up different kids from the grade level. There's 4 teachers on my grade level, so we're splitting up our 4 kids who do not receive any kind of tier 2 or tier 3 interventions, and we each have a different writ band to work through. If you guys aren't familiar with that, kids that take MAPS testing, they are broken down into like 4, I think 5 actually sections are reading, but we're only going to be working. Sorry, my throat was tickling. Anyway, we're only going to be working with 4 of them because I think it's you have 2 for literary text, and then you have 2 for informational text. So one of those is for meaning and context, and the other one is like more interpreting and deeper thinking. So anyway, I have the literary group for meaning and context, so we're going to be doing things like making predictions, doing summaries, just working to build them because the students I have, that was like their lowest scoring area, and the other teachers have the other students that worked or that scored lowest in their area that they're going to be working with. So I need to get activities ready for that, so I'll be ready to go. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I know my students, and I found it funny though, because I was kind of analyzing my own data, and I don't think I've talked about this on here because I've just been so busy trying to hit up these small groups, because I have noticed that my students this year literally range from pre-K to 5th grade in ELA, and they range from pre-K to 4th grade in math, and I am 3rd grade. So that's quite a big group of students. So I have actually 6 ELA groups and 6 math small groups that I do every week. I do 3 of them 3 times a week, and the other 3 2 2 times a week, and I do that for both English and math. So I'm going to be digging into that a little bit deeper. And anyway, by analyzing that data, I noticed I said I only have 4 students. I have 2 that are on grade level and 2 that are above grade level, and all the rest are behind. And I was talking to another teacher about it, and I was like, how are the levels with your kids? And she thought maybe I was like exaggerating a little bit, I guess. And then, because we have so many interventionists, I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 interventionists at our school. And my kids all get pulled at random times. And then we have, of course, your resource. So I haven't really added up how many kids are getting pulled. I just haven't looked at it. I probably should. I mean, I know who gets pulled and who doesn't, but I just haven't I haven't counted it up in my head. So I literally have 12 students that are receiving tier 2 or tier 3 interventions at that time. So I will only have 4 students that will be in the small group split between the 4 teachers. 2 of them will actually stay with me, and the other 2 will go to another teacher. I just found that interesting that I have that many students that we really need to give some extra love to this year. So hopefully we can pull them up. Because teachers don't like talk about this, about, teaching to the test. And obviously I think, it is important for us as teachers to teach those real life skills. I just want to kind of say that we all know that the reality is that, we are judged as teachers on how our students perform. Well, if I have 12 of my students that are, on levels pre-K to 2nd grade at 3rd grade, then obviously they're not going to score proficient on state tests. Hopefully some of them will, and I do have faith that some of them will, but I just hope that is considered. So I've got my hands full this year, and that's really why I have been so overwhelmed. So let me kind of just break down my schedule, because I have not checked in with you guys in a few weeks. So I have my morning meeting, and then I do math. Okay, so I do a number talk, and then I go over morning work. I let students go back, make their corrections on their morning work, and then I come back and I teach them whatever skill we're doing that day, and then I send them off on their way. Okay, so then I pull 2 of my math groups. I have about 30 minutes left, and I'm able to pull 2 math groups during that time. Okay, right after that, we are rushing into science. I can only teach science or social studies because I just don't have enough time. So I alternate between the 2. So, I'm rushed to teach science. Somehow in there, I have to get a restroom break. Then we're going to our special areas. We go straight from special areas to recess, right from recess to lunch. Okay, then we have to come back. I get done with lunch at 11:15. And we are supposed to start interventions at 11:40, but I'm the first lunch in my grade level, so I get done early. So I go ahead and start interventions. That's when I do that 3rd math group, right when I get out of lunch. All right, so then right when my intervention time starts, I am pulling language groups. And I'm like literally working with them on like, I'm trying to think of the right word, conventions mainly. Conventions, parts of speech, parts of sentences, sentence structures, different things like that. So really just like hardcore language skills. I have students that are sitting there doing their word work. I just pull those up on the Promethean board, and they do things like put them in ABC order or what have you. So I do 3 of my language groups then. Then I get into writing, and we are doing Lacey Calkins for writing. It's like a transcript, and you kind of read it. It's different if you haven't done it before. So I do that for writing, and then I am doing writing conferences. It is the 7th week of school, the 8th week of school, the 8th week of school. Our quarters are weird. So like my first quarter is only 40 days. I don't know. Anywho, I still have 5 students that have not given me a published narrative. And I've been working on narratives since the first week of school, literally. Okay. I took the time to handwrite a student's narrative that we sat down and edited for like a 20-minute edit with this student, which is a long time for a writing conference. showed her, you know, how to line it up on the red line, showed her how to indent, wrote it word for word how it should look, wrote her entire paper. I said, just copy it. I mean, obviously she did the work in her notebook, and then I did a published copy for her, and I said, you need to copy my published copy. And we couldn't even get that done. I'm actually having a conference with this parent, and I'm going to kind of show her what I'm talking about. But it's kind of overwhelming, because I'm like, I'm multi-paragraphing at this point. I'm doing a modified 5-paragraph narrative right now, and I have kids that can't write 1 paragraph, like, and I mean like a full page, because I just started paragraphing this week, because, you know, we have to be able to write a solid narrative before we get into those next skills, you know, progression. Anyway, so I spend that whole time doing writing conferences, and then I turn right around and do Lucy Calkins reading, and I'm also trying to supplement with that and fill in things that curriculum doesn't cover, because as much as people love her, it doesn't cover everything. It doesn't meet every single standard, so I'm having to cover other skills, or I'm having to cover skills more thoroughly. So I have like 15-20 minutes to get that done, and that's it. And then I have 2 guided reading groups that I have to, according to my reading coach and district policy, do 20 minutes for guided reading, 2 guided reading groups a day. So I am literally getting done with them at 2:15, and they are expected to be at their dismissal location by 2:20. So I'm having to clean up our room and get them out of there by then. So that's just kind of how crazy my schedule has been. So then if I have car rider duty, I don't get back in my room until about 3 o'clock. By the time I check my mailbox, use the restroom, clean up my teacher table, because it's chaos at this point, it's time for me to go get my after school kids at 3:30. So I have them, I'm teaching them another lesson, working with them, and then I don't get out there till 5:30 or 6, or get done. Then I'm staying at school. I'm like literally asking the custodians, what time are you leaving? Because I don't want to get locked out and set off the alarm, you know? Or not locked out, but I don't want to set off the alarm. So I have been working till about 7:30 on average. So 13, 14-hour days every single day, nonstop. I just hope that it pays off. So now that you know how crazy I've been, you understand, I guess, probably more. So instead of doing vlogs, because I just don't think that's realistic for me this year right now, I will probably do more, maybe kind of vlog style, but more focused. So I am thinking, like I know I spoke with some of you about doing some guided reading lessons. So I definitely want to do that. Maybe I'll do like a little series on that. And then just, I don't know, have like focuses, maybe like show you how to do my number talks, like very specific things. And that will just be my content right now. Sorry, I had a text message I swiped up. Anyway, I'm going to get busy on this, and I will check in with you guys. Bye. So it is about 9:07 right now, and I am at the first checkpoint, whatever you want to call it. I'm at like a stopping point. I don't know if I will stop. Excuse my mess in the background. That's actually like school stuff that I just need to go through. So I'm going to flip you around and show you what I've done. Okay, so all of the patterns are fall themed. I have these that are football helmets, so the students will put them together to make a pattern. One of the big things in 3rd grade is they have to identify a rule, and I will just have them write these in their math notebooks. I did another one that was footballs. This one the kids colored brown, and I could not see it, so I just whited it out and wrote it on there. Not the cutest thing, but this is real life. So the rest of them, we just used brown crayon for the footballs. So, and then I have a bat one, and there's a few more bats over here that go with that bat pattern that I had already laminated. Then I have this turkey one, and I just colored the turkey feathers all different colors so they can put that one in order. They have some extensions. That's what the lines are for. and identify the rule. Excuse my shoes. This is my bedroom. Lighter fluid. I don't even know why that's there. But just laminate, shoes, crayons, trash. The life of a teacher, thing of paper clips, you know. Okay, so here's another turkey pattern. I did not color this one. Actually, one of my colleagues did this one, and then that's when the kids wanted to join in and help. They did my pumpkins, and I only had one pack of markers, so they were like, well, what can we color it? So they colored it peach and orange, but I think they look really cute, so it'll be different colors. We did not color the ghost. And then we have an apple pattern, and then we have a leaf pattern. So that's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different patterns. So when they solve each pattern, they will receive a letter. And I know I've said this, so they'll have to put it in order, figure out the rule, and write it in their math notebooks. Excuse me. Sorry. Whew. Anyway, then they will receive a letter from me after I check it. And then I will have like a riddle on the board. And they will have to use their letters to come up with a riddle. I am thinking about letting them work in partners to do this. Honestly, I only have 16 students, so 9 stations. There's going to be like one left over, but whatever. We'll rotate through them. I may just have them like labeled like station 1, station 2, station 3. Whatever. So anyway, I think I may go ahead and laminate these in my personal laminator and get these done. And then it's funny because I have to cut them out again. And I almost didn't cut these out because the Scotch laminator, the laminate is like really good, and I don't mind cutting stuff out in the laminate. But like this cheap stuff, I don't know if you guys feel this way, but the cheap flimsy stuff that we have at our schools, I like to cut my stuff out before I laminate it because I feel like if I cut it afterward, the laminate peels. So that way I can kind of cut around it and leave like a little bit of space. That's just me though. So I think I'm going to go ahead. I think I am going to get it done just to get it done, you know, and then I can work through those standards tomorrow, or I might just get up here in my bed that's not even made because who has time for that? Not me. And turn on some TV and just cut. I'm not going to organize them, but I may just cut them out while I watch TV. I'm a night owl, typically. It's really hard for me, even like at the beginning of the year, like when school first starts, I kind of go to bed like 7, 8 o'clock, really early. And then it just gets later and later, and like sometimes I find myself up at like 11, 12, which I guess probably for some of you that's not that late. But on the weekends, I do stay up, and it's not the weekend, but like I said, we're closed for a hurricane tomorrow. I can stay up later, like 1, 2, 3 a.m. and it doesn't bother me. So I don't know. I'll just sit in my bed and probably cut that stuff up. And I'm going to go ahead and laminate this. And I will check in with you guys tomorrow. All right. Have a good night. So Hurricane Michael has already come through. There's still like a little bit of mist and lots of wind. The ground is like a little bit saturated out here. I'm just sitting outside on my balcony. But that's pretty much, I haven't been out, so I don't know if there's like much damage out. So hopefully we'll have school tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday. It is Thursday, October the 11th. Yeah, October the 11th. So we did not have school today due to all the winds because our buses cannot drive when the winds get up high. I think they were expecting to be about 40 miles per hour. I don't know. I slept through the hurricane, so that's just my update. Good evening, guys. I am sitting in bed. I've had like a super lazy day with the hurricane. I went to Arby's. That's why my cup's back there. Anyway, so I am cutting up my I can statements, and I will kind of show you what I've gotten done so far. I got all of my social studies ones punched and in a binder. I just like separate them. Let me flip you around, it'd be easier. Hold on. So I just separate them according to what they are. So I have reading, inquiry, and communication standards. Those are all ELA, and I haven't finished those, and I did not laminate those to finish. Okay, so then, communication and writing. Sorry, I have 4 different ELA sections just to kind of break ELA up more. I should probably do the same for math, but I haven't. So I have all of my number sense ones were already done. So this is like my first standard. I think I'm working on the second one, and I've done all the rest of my number sense. However, like this standard, I can multiply and divide by whole numbers of, or by multiples of 10, sorry, in the range of 90 or 10 to 90. It's really late. Well, not really late. It's about 9 o'clock. But anyway, I actually will be teaching that second quarter. So I see my long list of laminate. I'm just sitting in bed. My son's watching Wrinkle in Time with me. So anyway, I'm sitting in bed cutting these. These are my science ones. So it's the only ones I haven't got done. So I broke them down. I have my number sense with fractions, and then I have all my algebra, and then there's some geometry ones in there, and then all of my measurement standards. So they're kind of ordered like that, but what I'm going to do is take these down and do them in order that I teach. So, for example, I am doing algebra. Let me get to my, where, oh, did I skip it all the way? I did. I think I have the first 5 algebra standards. So multiply, divide, multiply and divide using world problems. I'm sorry, I'm just going off my head. I think I'm pretty good at memorizing the math. That's the only ones I really know by heart is the math. Yes. And then explain the relationship between the two. I don't think I do. No, I do that one. Let me go back and pull up my curriculum map and see what I do exactly. So I just went and looked really quick. So I do standards 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 6. So the applying the properties to multiply and divide is actually something I do in third quarter. I will probably be throwing it in, honestly, during second quarter, just because second quarter is very heavy on multiplying and dividing. Anyways, so that one I'm still going to put it in the order of second quarter because that's when it needs to be displayed and taught and assessed explicitly. So I'm just going to take out my ATO, the algebraic thinking and operation standards. I'm going to take them out, just the ones I need for next quarter, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. And then I need to remove from my binder this number sense, the third standard we have, which is the multiply by multiples of 10. We are not Common Core any longer. We do our South Carolina College and Career Ready standard. There are some things that are in Common Core that are not in our standards for the grade level, and vice versa. However, it's Common Core. Like when I taught 4th grade, I began with Common Core, and then we switched to our newer standards. And yes, there were some things moved around from year to year, but the way the standards are written, I mean, it's still Common Core to me. Let me know if your state still uses the Common Core standards, and if so, do you kind of feel like they are the same or not? So anyway, I'm going to punch holes into these with my hole puncher over there, and I am going to put these in order in my binder as I would teach them, and then I'm going to tackle cutting these science standards that are still in laminate. These are a little bit harder to cut. Let me just show you why. Because there's 2 in 1 on one page, so I actually have to kind of cut around it so that it looks like this. Oh, that's upside down. So it looks more like this. And with these are full sheets, so I can kind of just run my scissors around the sides, and the laminate cuts off super easy. So that's why I got those done so quickly. And I did cut all my social studies, which I've already said that. But anyway, I am just laying in bed and I am doing that. We do have school tomorrow. I mean, they didn't tell us otherwise, so I'm assuming we will have school tomorrow. I'm planning on getting up and going to school or to work. It just stinks because the way our quarters are divided, we don't have 45-day quarters. Some quarters are more like 50, some are like 40. First quarter is actually 40 days, and they do this because of high school and middle school, so they can take all their exams and switch their special areas at the beginning of the year rather than going back for a few days in January and then having a switch. But with that said, when we have 180 days of school and they only give us 40 days to teach first quarter, and then we have missed 3 days for a hurricane, we are sitting right now at 37 days on first quarter, which is almost 2 weeks short of a quarter. So to me, that's a lot. I mean, there's nothing I can do about it, obviously. I'm just really crossing my fingers for snow this year. And it doesn't snow bad here. And people that are watching, you guys that are watching this that are from up north, you probably think this is laughable. And I mean, I kind of do too. But, so we shut down at even pretty much the threat of snow. Around here, since I'm in northern South Carolina, they may let some flurries happen. But once we only have one center in our entire state where we make brine. So, if we don't get the brine on the roads early enough, the roads will freeze here because it warms up enough during the day to melt the snow, and then it cools off enough at night to freeze the snow on the road. So then we have a big major black ice issue, which is why that's really the reason why we shut schools down, is because of black ice, not because we're scared of the snow. I think they should be more prepared, but at least have like brine tanks on hand prior to it being like an issue, so they know, hey, it's gonna freeze tonight, let me go ahead and spray brine on the road instead of having to drive all the way to our state capital to get the brine and bring it back, and then it's too late, which is what happens. Anyway, I am rambling. Last year we lost 3 or 4 days due to snow. So I'm just really hoping we don't lose days to snow this year, since we've already lost 3 days due to hurricanes. So yeah, oh well. I'm going to get back to this, and I will check in with you guys in a little bit before I go to bed. Bye. Good evening, guys. I am just checking in with you. It is almost 10 p.m. I think it's like 9:45 or something. I ended up getting all of my math organized back order and my science organized back order. So I will flip you around really quick, and I will show you that. Okay, so like I said, I have my reading standards, and these are just the ones I did for first quarter. I do not have any of my, any of the others. They are down here in my messy floor. I have like little hole punches all over my floor. You gotta love that. Anyway, they're still in that bucket. They need to be laminated. So I have my inquiry standards, and then my I broke writing down into communication, and then we'll have just writing. So that. Okay, and then I, of course, did my math. So it's not like in order by number, sense, fractions. I do geometry last, most of my measurement, some algebra, geometry. It's broken down by the exact order I teach my math in, so that I can just kind of flip to the spot. I need to put like a bookmark of where I'm at. And then for science, this is the unit I am on now with matter and heat transfers. And then, let's see. I think it starts right here. Yes, and this is what I will get on next. It'll be about changes in the Earth's surfaces. So we'll get into rocks, minerals, landforms, all that good stuff will be my quarter 2. And then we will get on to electricity and magnetism for quarter 3. And those are all right here. So, oh, we do insulators and conductors of electricity too. Ha, ha, ha. And then animal habitats and the effect on the diversity of organisms. And then at the very back, life 3, right here, I have just my science, my inquiry and engineering standards. I have those in the back because these are taught throughout the year. I don't really post I can statements, and I accidentally punched this set the wrong way. So it's not in, but I didn't want to punch it again because it's not hanging off my binder, so I don't really care. But this is embedded throughout all of the units, so I don't know, maybe I could put up 2 science I can so they can know what kind of engineering we're working on. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. So this section I actually punched the opposite way. It is what it is at this point. I don't think I did all of them. Oh, I did all of them that way. Well, I guess that is how they will be. They will be punched at the top instead of the bottom. Anyways, so I've done my regions. This one's not punched that way. This is real life, guys. I've done my landforms. I have not done this. The settlement of South Carolina. Native American troops, or groups, tribal groups, not troops. I'm actually getting into this next. So at the very beginning of my South Carolina history, I do kind of mix up like the regions and river systems, and then I get into Native Americans. Then I do exploration after Native Americans. And then, so those are not 100% in order. I need to go back and do that. But after that, it goes in order because we do like all the settlements and colonization, and then we go straight into the American Revolution, and then we do, let me see, I'm just rambling, I'm sorry guys. We get into the Civil War, and then we also do the antebellum era. Let's see, I think antebellum comes before the Civil War. I don't know if I have I can statements. Yep. Antebellum, South Carolina. And then, so we get into pre-Civil War. We get into the Civil War. And then we'll have Reconstruction. And then we get into the 20th century. I'm going to be real honest with the amount of time they give us. The only thing I really got through last year is I did Reconstruction. And then I got into like the civil rights movement, and we did some activists like Thurgood Marshall, and several different people. I try to expose them to people that they're not normally exposed to. But as far as like the modern stuff, we did not get into the Great Depression. That was one thing we did not get into, and so hopefully we'll be able to get a little bit further. But the reality is I get 30 minutes a day to teach science and social studies, which is why I can only teach one at a time. And every 2 weeks, one of those periods is taken for guidance. So I get 9 days every 2 weeks to teach science and social studies for half an hour, which is not sufficient. And then, you know, I feel like that time is not valued. So, not by like me. I wish I could teach it more effectively. But I am at a school where I don't get to make my own schedule. So, I don't get to decide how much time I spend on each subject. That is decided for me. So, I do not have a say in that. Hopefully this year I will get a little bit further. Really, the only way to do that is to kind of skim over and expose them to stuff instead of teaching it really well. Do you guys have that issue with science and social studies where you feel like you can't go into great detail, or if you do, you'll end up leaving stuff out? I don't know. Let me know how you feel about those subjects, which, from my understanding, South Carolina is changing their social studies standards next year, and I think they are rolling into effect next year. I could be wrong about that. They may just be coming out with them next year, and they're not in effect yet. And maybe up to the district first year or two, like it is sometimes. But we're not going to be teaching social studies any longer in elementary school, which is crazy. But it's going to be more about government and citizenships and economics. So we will see how that goes. I did not dry my hair today. It's still like a little bit wet in the back. So I guess I'll just wear it wavy tomorrow. I'll pin it up or something. Oh well, I'm going to bed. So good night, guys. And I will close this out tomorrow. Bye. Hey everyone. It is about 6 o'clock on a Thursday. And it is October the 18th. So yesterday in class, I had a parent volunteer come in, and we, close my cabinet, it's gonna bug me. We tie-dyed shirts. So I have shirts for everybody in the class, including me. We are doing, like, we had a fundraiser for like a run kind of thing. I don't know why I'm twisting my hand. Anyway, I guess you guys have not been in my room in forever, so I will kind of give you whatever updates I have. Let's see. I will flip you around, actually. It's easier. So I did change my reading into, I can use paragraph level context to determine the meaning of words. We've really been talking about different strategies to find the meaning of words, building those vocabulary skills. And in writing, we are really working on the writing process, and we are still on narrative. This one doesn't specifically say narrative, but that is what I'm working on. Yeah, it doesn't. Okay, so here we worked on patterns. I feel like my kids did really well on this. Now, if you notice in the standard, it says patterns in addition or multiplication tables. So I did addition. I also did subtraction because, to me, I mean, it's directly related to addition. And I did like two-step patterns, like where it's like adding 5 and then adding 7, adding 5, adding 7. So I expanded on the standard, and they did pretty well. Social studies, I actually just started this today, and it is compare the culture, government, and physical environment of Native American tribal groups, which for South Carolina, we have the Cherokee, the Catawba, and the Yamasee. I actually live really close to the Catawba Reservation, which is the only reservation still left here. And then, actually, I think back to this, sorry. The Catawba students actually used to be zoned for here, and then they redid their zoning. Okay, so anyway, down here, we were talking about the transfer of heat, mainly conductors and insulators. However, I am finished teaching conductors and insulators because I've said this before. I only teach science or social studies. I never teach both. Okay. So let's go over here. We have started some handwriting. Yes, they do cursive in 3rd grade. However, I always start with print and then we work into cursive. So that will be coming shortly once we work our way through all of the print letters. For word study this week, I'm not really doing word study based on like levels like some people do. I do that more in the guided reading. This is more of like spelling / vocabulary because, you know. Anyway, so what I've done is I'm working on prefixes and suffixes because that's in our standard. And obviously this week I am working on the suffix the prefix un. And then I'll be switching it up each week to a different suffix or prefix. And then what I let them do is on their computers, I let them get online and do different kinds of word work. Like I'll do pyramid words or ABC order or dictionary definitions or using the words in a sentence. So I'm building that vocabulary and they're understanding the different suffixes or prefixes. In reading, our second 9 weeks or quarter, whatever you guys call it, starts Monday, or Tuesday, because we're not here. Well, I'm here Monday. It's a work day. So anyway, we are supposed to actually move into informational text. However, I went ahead and I could teach our informational unit since we use Lucy Calkins. I think it's like 18 lessons, which is like 4 weeks, basically like half of a quarter. And then of course I'll do drop-in lessons and we'll work on text features and stuff like that. But I have another Lucy Calkins unit, which is not part of the standard unit, and that is the mystery unit. And I really enjoyed that last year. So this is what we're doing this year for Lucy readers of mysteries. They have to identify what the mystery is, who the crime solver is, and learn to pay attention to clues early on, even before you're looking for clues. I have also set up, and it's just first names. I don't have last names, but this is how I'm doing my reading rotation. So I printed it out and I made a poster. I don't get to choose what color my poster comes out. It's different every week. Whatever. All right, so let me flip you around and kind of show you how I've updated my bulletin boards. 1 second. The first one I updated was my ELA bulletin board. I used to just have the long and short vowels all over it, and I moved my character traits back over here. I may have shown that already. I am not sure. I'm fairly certain I have shown my solids and liquids, my matter one, and I didn't put anything up for heat. My issue with this, and I did not think about this. I mean, I did, but I didn't. Is this bulletin board is directly onto the bricks. So when I take this off, it may rip the paper. So I'm going to have to be very careful, and I'm going to have to hot glue everything that goes up there. And these are notes that I actually created. I actually found these on a Google search, and they fit with what I was talking about. That's loose. I need to fix that. For math, I did an addition strategy and a subtraction strategies in your chart, and I found these on, of course, I ran out of room. Let me back you up and you can see it. So it looks like that. I mean, whatever. My room is like covered and I have nowhere to put stuff. Anyway, I found these on Pinterest and I just kind of copied it. I think it was a 2-digit version on Pinterest, and I turned it into a 3-digit version, but I stole the idea off Pinterest. And then I added some charts down here. Forgive my old school bricks. And I usually keep this over here. Okay. So I added, my 3rd grade expectations, what 3rd grade writers do and don't do, and the different components of a narrative, and which is one of the lessons from the Jennifer Saravello reading strategies books, and I like that one, so I did that one. I did this one, and I think one of my partner teachers found this off of Pinterest or Google search. I'm not sure. And these are our 3rd grade non-negotiables, just about basic conventions. And I did move these punctuation posters to just fit nice and neatly over there. Other than that, I think everything has pretty much stayed the same. I did add this dojo poster right here. So I just have my individual rewards and my classroom rewards. Okay. All of a sudden today is the first day. As you can see, my cursive poster is down and the glue is coming undone. That is going to drive me absolutely crazy. So, just being honest, with it being 6:09 at this point, I am probably not going to be fixing those charts. I still want to type up all my word wall words and get those on papers. And I want to start adding my word study words to that. for summarizing I make these sometimes. Instead of making a big anchor chart, I will do it on the computer, like on a flip chart, and then I'll print the flip chart, and then I'll turn it into a poster. These are 2 different posters. I did beginning, middle, and end, and then down here I did somebody wanted but so then, which are both from the Jennifer Saravelli Writing Strategies book. Reading, those are in the reading strategies, sorry. I have both, so those are great. And I need to go through and make some writing plans for next week. We're only here for 4 days. I pulled my plans from this time last year for writing, and we did a lot of drop-in lessons from the Jennifer Saravelli, now I can't talk, the Jennifer Saravelli book, which is this one. But one of my colleagues mentioned wanting to work on conclusions, so I'm going to go through that book and see if I can find anything. Good evening, guys. It is super late. My lipstick is starting to come off. Forgive me. I mean, it is a little after 10, but I wanted to stay up and get this done. So I got major things accomplished today. All of my grades are done. All of them. Sorry. Let me backtrack for 5 seconds. I'm all over the place. I hope you guys can deal with me. It's just my personality. I'm like here and there and everywhere, you know. Anyway, so I kind of cut it off earlier because I had the custodian was knocking at my door and she wanted to come mop my floor. And I got sidetracked and I came home and I analyzed data. So basically, I'm going to kind of fold it a little bit so you can't see, because this does have students' first and last names. So we printed the map continuum, and it's several pages long. I think it was about 50 pages long total. And we divided it by RIT bands into 4 different groups based on each RIT band except for vocabulary. And I got a literary text, meaning and context. So what I did, and I just think this may be helpful because I knew a lot of people use MAPS data. And I know I did before I moved to the district I was in, but I didn't know how to analyze it like this. So I'm just going to share. Maybe you know this, maybe you're ahead of me. If you are, please share, because I think this is, you know, a professional community that I want, especially that's what I want to create. But we can all learn from each other. Anyways, I hate that their names are all on this because that makes it harder. Let me get to a page that has more stuff. So what we did was we, first of all, we pulled out our kids that were receiving tier 2 or tier 3 instruction during the time that we do academic intervention, which is called something else now, like MSSP something, has a different acronym than RTI, but more or less that's what we're doing on a tier 1 level, because we general ed teachers in my district still count as tier 1 no matter if we're teaching tier 2 or not, is what it is. It's tier 2 instruction at a tier 1 level. I hope you're following me. Anyway, so when you print the continuum on map, you get the RIT band right there. Okay, it's not focusing. Let me see. Sorry. Okay, there you go. So it gets the RIT band, and I mean, it's so hard to look at the standards, right? Because there's so many reading standards. Okay, but it breaks it down into bullet points like these students need to know this, this, and this to move forward, right? So what I found by moving forward is many of the standards overlapped and many of the standards overlapped within the RIT band. So like the first one on here that I have highlighted, it says determines logical order of events in literary text. Okay. Well, when I went through my part of the continuum, I noticed that appeared multiple times within the same RIT band, within the next RIT band, and within the next. So what I did was I typed it into a document. I'm not focusing. I'm moving too much for my camera to stay with me. Sorry, guys. Anyway, so I crossed it off to make sure that I didn't do it again, because my grade level, we don't switch. We all teach the same kids all day long, but we are going to switch to attack literacy because that was our lowest scoring area last year. Oh, it got wet. I'm gonna have to print another copy. It got a little bit of water on it from my cup. Anyway, so what I did was I had them grouped into 3 RIT bands, okay? So that's my group 1, group 2, group 3. Some skills, so I didn't write the standards, I just wrote the skills they needed. Some skills only applied to group 1, some applied to all the groups, some only applied to group 2, some only applied to group 3. And this was broken down into predicting, inferring, and drawing conclusions. Then the next section was summarizing, analyzing themes, characters, and events. Now, I had to break down a lot more. I had one section for groups 1 and 2, one section for all of the groups, 1, 2, and 3, one section for group 1 and 3, just group 1, just group 2, just group 2 and 3, and then just group 3. So but the good news is there was like a lot of overlapping in both of these areas. So I know that I can teach those kind of things whole group. So my initial thought is, hey, let's teach these things first, and then when the kids have skills that they can be working on more independently, then I can pull those small groups, right? And work on them, like on the skills that are just in their group, if that makes sense. I reached out to my literacy coach, and I sent her an email, and I said, will you help me kind of group and sequence these skills? Because, I feel like after reading over some of these things, like a lot of them could be done in read aloud and you could hit multiple skills at a time. Obviously, I would work on these skills more than one day, and I would have the students some kind of way to practice them. So I'm going to ask her at least help me to sequence them in the order that they should be taught and then group them. But it's just amazing to me, a 50-page document. Of course, I had a quarter of it because we split it between 4 different things. Because I had the literary text, meaning, and contents. But I still had, over 10 pages of that document. And I got it down onto 1 page. Which is way, way more easier for me to just look at 1 page. I'm probably going to laminate. I'm going to print another page because I won't get wet. But I'm going to have a fresh page. And then I'm going to have everything. All the skills that I need to teach in RTI, who I need to teach them to. And I already know who's in my groups because that part's pretty easy to make groups. It's just, narrowing down what you need to teach everybody. So yeah, I think this will work. And of course, we actually do winter maps. And I know like some people don't. Some people do. I think for us, it was a new thing last year, and I kind of advocated for it because it came from a district where we did use it. And I was like, I feel like it's good teacher data. Like it lets you know what students you're hitting well, which ones you need to hit more. Are they growing like they should? So I personally like that. Anyway, I know I'm rambling. And I will definitely go way more into detail if you guys are actually interested in that. Like if you use maps and you want to know more of how to get onto the NWEA website and get these documents and analyze them in the way I did to make them much more user-friendly. Because it took me years of doing map to really learn the website and learn all the things that data actually had to offer. But it's such an amazing tool. It's really, really great. And I'm not one, I don't believe in necessarily teaching to the test, but I believe in teaching the students' needs. And I feel like I actually really like maps, and it's not one of those tests that I have a negative attitude towards. I To me, MAPS means so much more than, your standard state tests. That's just me, because it tests kids at their level and you can see individual growth rather than, hey, they're not on a third or whatever level. And I'm like, okay, so with me, I was talking to my AP because I am advocating for a schedule change. But basically, I have 16 students. I have a small class, but 12 of my students qualify for Tier 2 or Tier 3 interventions or, pull-out time. Tier 3 for us is resource special education, and Tier 2 is just interventionist, which is not considered special education. They do not need any kind of special testing or IEP to qualify for Tier 2. It's mainly based on test scores and teacher recommendations. So that's 12. And then I happen to have one GT student who was also pulled during my reading block. So I literally have 13 of my 16 students pulled at some point of the day, with the majority being pulled during either my intervention time or my guided reading time. So I opted, my solution was to switch reading and writing, because they could still get the majority of my writing lesson. If I did this, they would get my writing mini lesson, and I would have 10 minutes of conferring time before they got pulled. So they would just be my first conferences. Obviously, I can't meet with every one of them every day, but I don't do that anyway, because you can't do individual conferences during a writing block with everyone every day. If you can, you're awesome. My goal is to meet with students once or twice a week. Regardless. But I just want all of my students to be present, at least during reading and math. So I will keep you updated to let you know if I am getting my schedule changed. My AP does the schedules, and she is very receptive of my argument. And she said that she was going to present my argument to my principal. And I also kind of explained to my literacy coach what my argument was, and she said that she was going to advocate for me as well, because apparently there are two other grade levels that teach reading during our time. And if we switched our time, she would be more able to do observations and help coach us. Like she should, not should, but she does. But she would be more able to do so because her time wouldn't be shared between so many grade levels. So I think it would be a win-win-win-win-win all the way around. So hopefully I will get the schedule changed. I mean, it's nothing major. It's not like we're switching specials and recesses and lunches. I just want to flip-flop my reading and writing time. And I know some of you are probably like, why can't you just do that? I mean, I was kind of like that when I moved to this district, because I have always had the autonomy I was given, my recess, special, and lunchtime, but I always had the autonomy to make my schedule otherwise. It is not like that. And I don't know about my whole district, but I know for my school for sure it's very, very structured, because we have so many coaches and interventionists. They want every single grade level. The idea is to do every grade level is doing reading at a different time so that the coach can come around and be at a different grade level. But apparently that's not happening anyway, so not sure what the issue is. Our math is definitely like that, because we also have a math coach. So it's great to have so much support. But yeah, with that much support, and I don't know if I've said this before, so we have a BMA, which is a behavioral management assistant, and then we have a Tier 2 behaviorist that does RTI behavior. We have 2 resource teachers. Both of them do behavior, and then, of course, pool resource. Then we have 2 multi-categorical teachers. No, I'm sorry, 3. We have 3 multi-categorical teachers. And then we have our ESOL teacher who does small groups. And we have for reading interventionists. This year we do not have any math interventionists because they chose to get behavior people instead. With all of that, that's a lot when I sit here and tell you that our numbers are under 600. We are like at 500 something for the school. That is a ton of support. And I am more than grateful for it. But when you're trying to schedule that many people, it's not always perfect. And I'm just hoping that I can make it better for my students so that we get the best outcome. Anyways, I am rambling, and it is, almost 10:30. It's super late. So I'm going to get off here and just kind of decompress for a few minutes before I lay down. All right, guys. Have a great night, week, and I will probably talk to you next week. Make sure that you click the like button and subscribe, and leave any comments or suggestions or just thoughts down below. I love chatting with you guys. It's so fun. I want to really build a community here. All right. Bye, guys.